Okay, imagine this for a second. A company, a big AI company, literally buying up millions and millions of physical books. Not to put them in a library, but to like cut them up, digitize them, and then just destroy them.
Destroy them, like gone forever.
Gone forever,
Yeah.
shredded, pulped, whatever. And the reason, defeat an artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's pretty wild. Sounds like science fiction.
Doesn't it? But it's actually happening. Welcome, everyone. Today we're exploring this really fascinating kind of messy world where AI meets human creativity, meets copyright law.
It's a collision course, really.
Totally. We're looking at this just massive hunger AI has for information. And it's really surprising sometimes, honestly, shocking lengths these companies are going to feed that hunger.
Yeah, the data is the fuel.
Exactly.
Right.
So our plan today is to unpack some of these recent revelations, see how these AI models are actually built, look at the huge legal fights brewing behind the scenes.
Which are getting pretty intense. Oh.
Yeah, and figure out what it all means for information, for intellectual property, for all of us, really. We've got some court documents, some insider accounts. It's quite a story.
Definitely some aha moments in there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. It's got dramatic twists, legal puzzles, even a bit of like a poetic justice from an AI itself. It's nuts.
So where do we start? The book destruction.
Yeah, let's start with that bombshell. Court documents just came out showing this AI company, Anthropic, spent many millions of dollars.
Billions.
Millions to buy physical books. Not to read them, not to sell them.
Yeah.
No, they physically cut them up, scan the pages into digital files. And then here's the kicker. They destroy the original books.
Yeah.
The print copies. Poof.
Okay, why? Just why?
All to train their AI model, Claude. One of those AI assistants like ChatGPT. And this detail came out in a copyright ruling on all places.
So it's directly tied into these legal fights over fair use.
Exactly. And get this. The person Anthropic hired to lead this massive operation, Tom Turvey.
Turfy. Wait, wasn't he the guy from Google Books?
The very same. Former head of partnerships for Google Books' big scanning project. Anthropic brought him on in February 2024. His mission, apparently. Get all the books in the world.
So they were basically trying to do Google Books again, but maybe faster. Or differently.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And maybe avoid some of the legal headaches Google faced, though Google ultimately won its copyright cases on fair use grounds.
Right, that set some big precedents. But this destructive approach, it really highlights that core tension, doesn't it? AI needs so much high-quality data, and these large language models, LLMs like Claude or ChatGPT, they need billions, literally billions of words, good words, well-edited, coherent sentences.
Like teaching a kid to talk, you need good examples.
Precisely. The quality of that input data directly shapes how smart, how capable the AI becomes. Pour data in, pour AI out.
Okay, so they need the good stuff, which is mostly in books, which are mostly copyrighted. And that brings us to the legal strategy, right?
Yeah, the publishers own the rights, and negotiating licenses for millions of books. That's slow, it's expensive.
A legal practice business log, as Anthropic's CEO apparently called it.
Yeah, exactly. So Anthropic used this thing called the first sale doctrine.
Okay, explain that.
Basically, it's a long-standing copyright principle. Once you buy a physical copy of something, like a book, you own that specific copy. You can sell it, lend it, give it away, or destroy it. You bought it, it's yours to do with as you please. So Anthropic argued, we bought these books legally, we can scan our copies and then destroy our copies. It let them try to sidestep licensing altogether.
That feels like a massive loophole. But does it really hold up when you're doing it on such an industrial scale, specifically to train a commercial AI? That's the question, isn't it?
That is the multi-million-dollar question everyone's fighting over. The first sale doctrine usually applies to individuals or libraries, not necessarily mass digitization for profit like this. But speed and cost were clearly huge drivers for Anthropic.
In this crazy competitive AI race.
Exactly. Destructive scanning is used sometimes in digitization, but the sheer scale here, documented in court, was pretty unusual. It's very different from Google Books, which mostly borrowed library books, scanned them non-destructively with special cameras, and then gave them back.
Right. A key difference. And the judge, in this particular case, Judge William Alsup, he actually sided with Anthropic on this point, ruling it qualified as fair use.
Wow. Okay.
But, and this is a huge but with very specific conditions. One, they had to have legally bought the books. Two, They absolutely had to destroy each physical copy after scanning it.
Ah, so the destruction was crucial to the ruling.
Crucial. And 3, they had to keep the digital files strictly internal for training, not share or distribute them. The judge even kind of compared it to scanning documents to save space.
Interesting analogy. But wait, wasn't there something about them not being so legally careful at the start?
Bingo. Turns out, before they started buying and destroying, Anthropic had initially used pirated books. The court documents show this. Yeah, they wanted to avoid that slog of licensing, as the CEO put it, but using pirated stuff obviously undermined his position when trying to argue for fair use later.
Right, that doesn't look good.
Not at all. So by 2024, they realized they couldn't be so gung-ho about using pirated ebooks and shifted to this buy, scan, destroy strategy. It was, perhaps, the legally safer, though much more drastic, option.
Safer, but wow. Destroying millions of books.
It's a stark contrast, isn't it? While Anthropic is doing this, you've got others taking very different paths. Google's non-destructive method, the Internet Archive, has pioneered non-destructive scanning for years.
Right, preserving the originals.
Exactly. And just recently, OpenAI and Microsoft partnered with Harvard's libraries. They're training on almost 1 million public domain books, some going back to the 15th century.
Public domain, so no copyright issues there.
Right. And Harvard is ensuring these books are fully digitized, but preserved to live another day. Think about that image. Harvard carefully handling 600-year-old manuscripts for AI.
While elsewhere, modern books are being shredded for the same purpose. It's quite the dichotomy.
It really is. And this leads to maybe the most poignant part of this whole Anthropic story. They asked Claude, their AI, the one built using this method, about it.
They asked the AI itself. What did it say?
Its response was kind of amazing. Claude said, and I'm quoting here, "The fact that this destruction helped create me something that can discuss literature, help people write and engage with human knowledge, adds layers of complexity I'm still processing. It's like being built from a library's ashes."
Whoa, built from a library's ashes. That's unexpectedly profound from an AI.
Isn't it? It really makes you stop and think about the cost, the ethics, the whole thing.
It absolutely does. And this intense pressure for data, the legal gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's not just Anthropic, right? This is industry-wide.
Oh, definitely. Let's shift to Meta, Facebook's parent company. Their AI, Llama, facing a big class action lawsuit.
What's the accusation there?
Piracy, plain and simple. The suit claims they illegally used copyrighted books, downloading something like 81.7 terabytes of data.
Terabytes? That's an enormous amount. From where?
From shadow libraries, places like Anna's Archive, Z Library, LibGen. Basically, giant online repositories of pirated books accessed via torrents.
Okay, so they allegedly just vacuumed up pirated content to train Llama.
That's the claim. And what's really striking are the critical words coming from inside Meta. Internal messages surfaced showing employees raising red flags way back in October 2022.
So people inside knew this was dodgy, apparently. One senior AI researcher flat out said, according to the lawsuit, "I don't think we should use pirated material." Pretty clear.
Yeah, you'd think so. But the push to build was strong. The lawsuit mentions Mark Zuckerberg himself was in meetings urging the team to move this stuff forward. There were even internal jokes about, like, torrenting from a corporate laptop feeling wrong.
Wow. That really paints a picture of the internal culture, doesn't it? Aware of the risks, but pushing ahead.
The lawsuit also claims Meta tried to cover its tracks, trying to hide its involvement by avoiding direct links between its corporate infrastructure and the illegal downloading activity. Trying to create plausible deniability, maybe?
Sounds like it. It's a pattern, maybe push the boundaries, deal with the legal fallout later.
It feels that way sometimes. And then you have OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, taking a really bold stance.
Ah, yes. Their impossible argument.
Exactly. They've basically said it would be impossible to create today's powerful AI, like ChatGPT, without using copyrighted material.
That's a huge claim. What's their justification?
Their logic is, essentially, that copyright covers almost everything nowadays. Blog posts, photos, forum comments, bits of code, government documents, everything humans create online. So they argue, if you want an AI that understands the current world, you have to train it on this stuff, limiting it to, say, public domain books from 100 years ago.
They say that would just be an interesting experiment, not useful for today's citizens.
Right. It wouldn't produce the AI people actually want or need today. So their whole defense hinges on fair use. They argue that using copyrighted material for training is fair use, and copyright law doesn't forbid it.
It's a fundamental challenge to the status quo of copyright, saying The old rules just don't work for this new technology.
And the lawsuits are just piling up because of these arguments. It's getting really interesting now. It feels like all these companies are scrambling, trying to figure out the rules as they go, and boom, lawsuits everywhere.
It's a legal battlefield.
Totally.
Yeah.
We mentioned Meta and Anthropic, but you've also got the New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft for unlawful use of their article.
Right, the journalism angle.
Then there's a whole group of authors, John Grisham, Jodi Picoult, George R.R. Martin, like 17 big names, suing OpenAI for what they call systematic theft on a mass scale.
The fiction writers are fighting back.
And Getty Images is suing Stability AI, the image generator people. Plus, music publishers are after Anthropic for using copyrighted song lyrics. It's coming from all sides.
A real deluge. But here's the twist, right? While all this is exploding, what's happening with the actual body meant to oversee copyright?
Ah, yes. This is where the story takes another wild turn. Because the U.S. Copyright Office, the very place you'd expect to provide clarity on all this AI stuff, is basically leaderless.
Leaderless, in the middle of all this.
Completely headless. It's in this turbulent moment, as reports call it. No one at the helm.
That sounds problematic. It's like trying to referee a chaotic game with no referee on the field.
Exactly. Imagine trying to set the rules for self-driving cars while the DMV is shut down and nobody knows who's in charge. This isn't just office politics. It directly hits the stability of copyright law, which everyone, creators, AI companies, relies on. It's a huge question mark hanging over everything.
A truly tumultuous time for what used to be seen as a pretty quiet government office.
Right. This office suddenly became super important with all these AI lawsuits shaking up the economy. And bam, no clear boss for over a month now.
So what actually happened? How did it end up leaderless?
It's pretty dramatic. Back in May, the head of the office, the Copyright Register, Shira Perlmutter, fired abruptly by email.
An email firing?
From who? From the White House's personnel office. And just days before that, Carla Hayden, the Librarian of Congress who appointed Perlmutter, was also fired by the White House, same way.
Wow. So a major shakeup. Is Perlmutter contesting it?
Oh yeah, she's suing. She argues her firing wasn't valid. The government, naturally, says it had the authority, the whole power struggle going on.
So who is in charge then? Or who thinks they are?
That's the mess. The White House appointed an acting librarian, Todd Blanche, who then tried to appoint an acting registrar, Paul Perkins.
Okay.
But Carla Hayden's former second-in-command, Robert Newland, also claimed he was the acting librarian. So he had conflicting claims, and Perkins, the guy tapped to be acting registrar. He and his colleague apparently showed up once, announced their appointments via email, and haven't been back since.
They just didn't come back to work.
Nope. As one congressional aide put it, they don't have jobs to show up to because their appointments are legally contested and unclear. So effectively, nobody is running the show day to day at the top.
And this has actual consequences, right? It's not just procedural chaos.
Absolutely. Big practical impacts. For a while, the Copyright Office actually stopped issuing registration certificates. Just paused.
Whoa. How many were affected?
Around 20,000 registrations were held up. They've started sending them out again now, but get this, they have a blank spot where the register signature should be.
Blank. Is that even legal? Does it matter?
Well, legal experts are worried. An IP lawyer named Rachel Dixon pointed out that while the law might not explicitly say signature required, it does say the register determines copyrightability. These unsigned certificates, they could be more vulnerable to legal challenges.
So litigators trying to fight a copyright could jump on this.
Exactly. Your copyright protection might be weaker just because of this leadership vacuum. Imagine that.
That's huge. What else is being affected?
Well, the Register advises Congress on copyright law. Pretty crucial advice needed right now with AI, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
That's stalled. Also, things like recertifying the Mechanical Licensing Collective, the group that makes sure musicians get paid for streaming.
Important stuff.
Yeah, that's on hold too, though thankfully there's no strict legal deadline for it. And the Copyright Claims Board, which handles smaller disputes, needs a new member appointed. Nobody knows how that happens without a clear leader. The whole engine is sputtering.
And the timing is just terrible.
Couldn't be worse. An especially inopportune time. Perlmutter was fired literally days after her office released this huge, hotly contested report on generative AI training and fair use.
The report everyone was waiting for.
Yes. And now it's already being cited in lawsuits, even though it's technically just a pre-publication